Afternoon, guys. I've got a predominantly yellow collection of saws out today for, well, I hope it's an interesting demonstration. I'm going to be showing a saw which I haven't cut with, which is, well, they're highly regarded, a very powerful saw. It's one of the partner saws. This is the partner 650. Has a real history building up to this particular engine and its characteristics and how it runs, and I've brought out a few of her older brothers and sisters as well, and I was going to share just a few of the details which some of you might find really interesting. So I had several questions about the duplicates I have in my collection, or the apparent duplicates of the saws, because some I have, we'll come on to them, some I might have 10 versions of the same saw, which would seem strange, or maybe can't be understood up on the face of it, and why somebody would have that many of what ostensibly looks like the same model of saw. But it's all to do with, just as you might trace etymology, you might trace word history, and then certain things have a provenance and you'll trace an item's history. So different models, or the same model but a later version of that model, tells you how the saw has developed, and it's really interesting how they do develop. And also got to address as well a question, actually a couple of questions from people about some of the history that I've quoted, that I have my history confused, and that's really interesting, particularly on the company, or the company that the people have mentioned, and the origin. So there's a couple of saws out as well in because I love engine history. So the partner saw then, partner chainsaws. What year did partner chainsaws start trading? And it's a very interesting question, because if you look for Partner's first chainsaw, you might eventually come back and you'll discover that it was the 06, 125cc, an absolute brute of a thing. And that's 1955. But did they really start in 1955 is the question. So one of the questions I had about the history was solo saws, or Solo as a company starting in 48. And it was pointed out that I had the dates wrong for the engines. All I would say then to that person is Partner's first saw is 1955. But if you go and look up a company called Bibo, strangely, or not strangely, in the same town and district, Mölndal in Sweden, in 1949, 6 years before Partner's first saw, Bibo only made one saw, and that was the Bibo, 125cc brute. And then 6 years later, in the same town, Partner AB, as they were later, interesting history as well, this period of time, the numbers of companies starting up. So without being too long-winded, you have Jobu in Norway in 47, Solo 48 was it, you have Bibo in 1949, and then you'd have Jonsids in 54, you'd have Shindaiwa. I think they started doing three-phase, like deck chainsaws. You see them lined up on, got some great historical pictures of Shindaiwa, Japanese saws. Then you'd have, part of the Husqvarna group then started chainsaws for them in 1959. So the reason for some of the duplicates would be, they would be, if you found an original R16 and it was non-AV white buttons. Could have one of two different types of either felling spike or guide at the front to slide. Then on a later version you might find they went to the same switches, but then they'd be coloured, and there might be a tiny ignition change and a slight change on the pickup on the flywheel. Then on a later version, gotta break my neck here, guys. You might find they've, at a certain date point in serial number, composites would then be used on the housings, and then you'll see them changing in incarnation. The chassis will be the same. Then there'll be the first tentative introduction of an AV mount, then designated as an R17, and a mount at the back. So you can start to trace the model's growth in history, and so that does mean keeping a number of different saws just so you can keep track of it. And let's put that girl there. I was going to talk about her, we're going to save that for another day. Okay, so this girl then, 65 cc's, she's a monster. And interestingly for partner, loads of partner saws favour, in one size range, they all favour the same stroke on the engine, which is 36mm. So the R16s are 36mm, as are the 17 and 18, all play on the same model, but they're all 36mm stroke, and a 44mm piston. And if you went then to the R14, 76 cc's, she's still a 36mm stroke. If you come down a size to the same as the F65, the gorgeous 650, this is 36mm stroke. And incredibly then, from the R20, there's not a 25, the 23, the 30, the 35, can you believe it, even the R40, which I can't bring out because she's not complete by quite some way, but that girl is 36mm stroke with a 60mm piston, so that's 100cc, and all those saws are 36mm in stroke. So lots of the partner saws share a 36mm stroke engine. Obviously some exceptions through, and it's interesting as well, so they just had, literally they were just steps in piston size from 44 to 48 to 50 to 52. So they had a 55, 55, 65. They got the P7000. That's a 36mm stroke as well, incredibly. Then you'd have the 85cc partner. You've got the R11, R12s. They're 90cc's and the 100cc's, all sharing the same. Oh, so not the R11 or 12. There was a change. Yeah. So they are, I think they are a 40mm stroke, but alone. So I was asked, how do these cut? Well, this then girl is the same as, right, a couple of saws are out of placement here. That's the that's not an L65, that's actually a B65 at the top. This Vanna shares the same bore and stroke, 48, 36, and a brute ignorant saw, a little bit like this, spectacular cutting machine. And if any of you are wondering why the gorgeous Husqvarna 70 is out, in line with the Bibo company in Mundal in Switzerland, I think the town is Uppsala, and so there are a number of companies through history. So I've got to refer back to the people that have messaged about the chainsaw history and the dates and whether or not they're accurate. You know, sometimes in history people have recorded it or we get references and works of literature that have just been recorded incorrectly, just because the research has just gone wrong somewhere. Sometimes there's been, like in certain nations' history, in France's history, certain bits of history have been written incorrectly just because they didn't like the way perhaps it was, how history was played out at the time. And so on the E70, on that particular version, that was made by a company called Crescent, and I believe that's Uppsala, and that again is Sweden, but they only have one model, and there's several companies through history which just have just one model of saw. And you know, you go through the alphabet from AB or Archimedes with I think an MS saw, through to even ones which maybe never even made it production, Zumdubwerke, and then in between the chipper saw you would have Porter cable with just, well, the 530 and the 534. You would have a Cox, the Beaver saw, and some of these companies never made more than one chainsaw, can you believe? But did those engines go elsewhere? You've got to check your history on Solo. So 65 cc's, 1980s saw, early 80s, has got a real history of development from her older brothers and sisters. So full AV, composite in the pull start housing, composite top cover. They always had the composite fuel tank, unusual filling right from the R11s. So their first direct drive chainsaw in 58, 90 cc, oil and petrol both filling on the sprocket side, or chain drive side. And let's see how this girl performs. Spectacular engine. Kill switch. So rock steady engine, just has been a show saw, and that little hole on the underside, it's not the easiest access. Professional saw, fully adjustable chain oiler, which, you know, with a longish screwdriver is accessible from the underside. Excellent chain brake. Running full chisel, on paper runs up to a 24-inch bar, so similar to the Husky 61. Husky 61s are of course 4834, this girl is a 4836, and on paper I think makes a fraction less horsepower, but then it's very hard to get the accurate figures. Right guys, this is very exciting because, shout out Rich, this girl has only just been finished because she was missing a couple of tiny little parts. Had a crack in the chain housing, had a damaged top cover. I now have an excellent pulley in the side, and I can't wait. We're going to cut with her for the first time today. Let's see what this girl performs like. I'm assuming it's going to be very similar to the Husky 61 or my, perhaps, you know, the 262, that type of thing. I just can't wait to run her. Here we go.
Bye.
guys, she performs absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Only 8-10 inch wood, but just beautiful clean cutting. Absolutely fantastic. Let's see if we can cut something slightly bigger. Okay. Yeah, what a beautiful cutting machine. Wow. It just really does, just feels so similar to the Husky 61, perhaps a fraction longer legged just with the extra, it's only 2 millimeters extra on the stroke, but so similar, so similar. And did I just say that Crescent just created only one model of engine, and again from Uppsala, Sweden, and Crescent supplied that saw to 2 other companies, which were Partner, Sweden, and Husqvarna, Sweden. So the Crescent 06, which started life in 44 and 45, 44 on the stroke, 45 on the piston. Strange how I would cover the information. 44, 45, 1961, and where did it go to first? It went to Partner first, and it's an interesting trivia question. It went to Partner in 62 as what model, and then it went to Husqvarna a year later in 63 or so. Husqvarna's literature was happening, I believe, in 63. So the question is, what saw was that marketed as under Partner? I've never seen one actually branded as a Partner, but I'd love to get my hands on one. Okay. Hey guys, so absolutely flawless running. These are early ones were points ignition. By the 1980s, this girl is running a full Bosch electronic ignition setup. This girl had new fuel and vent lines, has, as far as I know, all original Partner screws all the way around. They've all been burnished by me as well on a steel brush, then finished on a brass brush, and gives it this kind of matte finish so they resist corrosion. Has absolutely no brakes anywhere on the chassis, so she's circa 40 years old and is starting, well, as you would hope, has a new plug obviously, and everything is perfect on her, but just starts even without throttle lock. So that is the absolutely spectacular Partner 650, and again, we can share Partner's roots back to 1955, can't we? Or is it 1949? So yeah, an absolute gorgeous engine, and just amazing history from the Partner company. Okay guys, thanks for watching. And two other questions that people asked were about I forget why I got the Alpinas out. I've got a number of Alpinas which they all seem really, really similar. In fact, they are really similar. But perhaps what a lot of people didn't realize was the spectacular Alpina 070S. Full AV at this stage, sight glass in the front for the oil reservoir, and no chain brake. Everything else as you would expect on the 070S. Manual oil plunger, looks like an addition or an afterthought right next to the choke. Tiny bit awkward in one breath. We should do these separately really. The same saw, the Alpina 070S. Again, the afterthought with the manual oiler. Everything's identical, except it isn't. The no sight glass, extension on the oil feed, and so even when you think you have saws that are the same, there are really some really very interesting differences and why they fitted them. And then if you go back to this special girl, the 070, so the saw before the 70S, predominantly listed as non-AV, and yet I have both these saws in basic AV with just the front handle AV and no AV at the back, and also non-AV, fixed handle at the front, and no chain oiler, automatic but no manual chain oiler. And the space that they had available to retrofit it later on was tiny. And so it's interesting as well, the engineering, just the incredible engineering they had to implement to put the manual oiler on this saw and fit it into the same chassis. Hence the fitment of the plunger looks a little awkward and a little close to the choke, and that's because it was a complete afterthought. Still, spectacular engines. I want to run it. I want to show people how this one suddenly is complete. That's another vid. Guys, stay safe. So, the partner. A spectacular cutting machine, and again, amazing history. Excellent chain brake, excellent chain oiler, and such a tractable engine. This one's running a 15-inch period bar. That's the first time she's cut today, which is just fantastic to see. And the brand new Oregon full chisel chain setup, just an amazing piece of history and just a fantastic workshop piece as well as being an amazing tool to use. Right guys, this video is probably already too long. Is that going to stay there? Thanks for watching, and I'm going to show my Alpinas very, very soon. Bye for now.